Hello, and welcome to The Bar is Loaded. In the inaugural first Bitesize episode, we will be discussing with Mr. Adam Roberts here the Luke Stoltman log lift that we've just watched at the weekend. So, first and foremost, how are you, sir?
Good, very good. This is still quite early in the morning these days, but yeah, not doing too bad.
Well, mate, this was a lie-in for me, so I'm taking it.
Different strokes, different folks. This is my usual wake-up time, so.
So, have you seen the log lift now?
Yes, I did not watch it live, but it turns out I already had a subscription to Core Sport,
Sweet.
so I could have watched it live. So yeah, I watched the recap of the stream.
Very good. So, obviously, just to recap, everyone. So we had three lifts. We had the 192, the 212, and then the 230. So obviously, no better place to start than the 192. Just looks as comfortable as a 192 could, I think, really.
Yeah. I mean, it could have opened maybe a little bit heavier. I'm not sure why those numbers were picked, but it did look very, 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 very comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think Loz made this point on the stream. It's crazy how Luke's opening at 192 when it wasn't that long ago that these were, British records, or you could get a win with this kind of weight. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it looked easy. Like you said, look, it flew.
Yeah, stupidly
Amazing.
easy.
Yeah, amazing.
Second lift, 212, exactly the same. Like, you couldn't have made 212 look any easier.
Yeah, it looked really
Again,
comfortable.
yeah. Granted, it was a warm-up, but it looked like a warm-up. It didn't look like 212 kilos above his head.
Yeah, I think this is what a lot of people need to kind of figure out when it comes to, especially these kind of attempts in strongman, maybe less so powerlifting, but that's how they should look. It should look like you are warming up to the true attempt. It's figuring out the implement, how the logs weigh, especially if it's not your own log. Like, how does it feel?
Mm.
If you go into a comp, you might never have touched that log before. So first and second attempts should look like that. You should be feeling it out and figure out what you're going to go for your third. Is it a bit risky? Yeah, because you get one chance at it typically, but I think he played it well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it helped being his own log.
Yeah.
Like you say, that feeling out process wasn't there as much. So yeah, I guess that's probably half the reason it looked as comfortable as it did. Not only can he do the weight comfortably, but it's his own implement. So,
Yeah, well, I guess in his case, it's less about feeling the log out and more about feeling himself out that day. You could tell he was he was wearing that elbow cuff, so a little bit dinged up. More so feeling himself out then, but yeah, I think good call on the attempt selection. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, in regards to the elbow cuff, that's something he's worn for months. So it's definitely showing that tendonitis just isn't shifting for him. So I think that's definitely something he's going to have to spend some time and get fit. Probably not the greatest idea that he's done the Snapchat World's Strongest Man that we've already discussed. Why he's doing that when he's obviously done this big log lift attempt and clearly is nursing an injury. But that is his decision.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. So obviously now on to the 230. So first attempt, obviously he came out after and said he was unaware he had a second attempt. So I mean, they should have made that clear to him. Like how he only finds that out on the day, it's fucking beyond ridiculous. But that first rep, so fucking close.
Yeah, that was. There's a couple of things you can pick apart. I mean, there's things that Luke does very well. He's arguably one of the best cleaners of a log.
Yeah, 100%.
Technically, I think the guys are making this point on the stream, Loz and Mark, that technically his clean is one of the best, if not the best. He wastes no energy. But one thing that I know a few people have pointed out, I don't know if you've spotted this, but when he goes for a max press, and it didn't happen on the other attempts, he almost has like a false dip and drive.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering whether that comes about when he's not feeling as sure about the lift. in the run up to the actual attempt, there was a bit of a faffing about with the actual loading of the log,
Yeah,
which I think very possibly could have thrown him off. He actually got up himself and was trying to help them figure out how to load the log, which I think should have maybe been done and practiced beforehand a little bit better, so they didn't have that. You never know that when we're talking about these kind of, not just these kind of weights, but max efforts, any little shift in your mindset can make a big difference.
yeah,
The we didn't talk about it, but um, before the first attempt, Big Z belt. No, you've got to turn your buckle to the
yeah,
side.
yeah.
Now, what's your take on that one? Because I've seen I've seen someone post an image of Big Z doing a log record attempt, and his buckle is right at the front. So that was a
That was
bit.
something I didn't understand at all. Why
Yeah, I mean,
put them out?
I get the thought process. If it's a protruding belt buckle, especially if you've got quite a lot of overhang that you can pull out and use as a shelf, I get it.
Mm,
But it was flush. There was
yeah,
nothing for him to really rest it on, and I do think any other belt, if it was a lever belt, would he have been told to move it to the side? I don't know. I do it personally. I move any buckles to the side
mm,
just because I don't want to scratch up our log.
yeah,
But I think little things like that, if you heard him on the stream, he was saying, "I've been training with it this way.
yeah, yeah.
No chance. I'm not going for a record and moving and changing anything." And he did in the end because he had a word with Z and he was told that no, that's how it had to be. But maybe some of these things had just crept in
Yeah.
and thrown him off a little bit. But that was so close. The 230. I don't think strength wise he was there. I think he lost his balance. If you look at it, I think he
Yeah,
just
yeah, definitely. The head
maybe
come
was
through
looking
quick
up
enough. I
too
don't
much. Yeah, he didn't kind of bring himself forward enough under the log, I don't think. And that just kind of put him too far back and he had to steady him. Because if you look at him when he normally does it, his feet don't move.
know.
Like I know you or I, if we're pressing, and most people, when you clean, you'll have to adjust your feet a little bit. When you press, you might have to do a little bit of a little bit of a dance to keep your balance with that kind of weight, especially overhead. But with a log that size to be as stable as he is, it's unreal.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that everyone could take away from this. That if you're learning the log press, even like an experienced log lifter, like go back and watch him clean because that technique is
Yeah,
perfect. If you want to
yeah,
learn
it's
the
a
perfect clean,
masterclass.
learn off Luke because
Yeah.
you won't see a better clean at all.
Well, even the press as well, like his
Yeah,
leg drive's perfect. He has a little bit of knees coming forward, but it's not just quads. He also gets his knees out, gets his hips into it. It's a very short, controlled dip and drive. Maybe he doesn't get his head through enough, but everything else is perfect.
yeah,
I think, yeah, I was wondering why he immediately went for. As I was watching it, I was like, "What? Why are you going for another attempt within that 60 seconds?" Like that
yeah,
seemed like a mistake to me straight away,
mhm,
because I know, and I'm surprised he wasn't aware of this and why it wasn't discussed in the rules beforehand. I know in powerlifting circumstances, if you're going for a world record, you're allowed to take a fourth attempt.
mhm,
So I had assumed already that he would have known that if he didn't get it on his third, he'd be allowed to take it on his fourth, it being an official record. And
yeah,
this is again why I think we all thought Hafthor was going to go for another deadlift, not to go back and talking about the deadlift, but you know, everyone assumed that he was going to go for a fourth attempt on the deadlift. So it surprises me that Luke didn't know. And I think that's maybe a mistake on the part of the organisers or the ref,
yeah, definitely.
Big Z. Because if he hadn't have gone for that second one in the minute, the fourth attempt might have gone, which is I was gutted for him.
Yeah,
I know
definitely.
you probably were as well. Yeah,
I felt so deflated for him. Like, I mean, let's not take anything away from the fact that he's clean 230, 4 foot.
4 times.
Let's not take anything away from that. Any other day, he's got it. His PB of 228.4, like, that 230 is there for him. And I think we all went into it so confident that, he's going to get it. And maybe he went in with the same confidence. And just like you say, there's a few little switches in mindset, there's a few little bits about switching his belt, the little fanning around with the log weights. Like, maybe that's what put him off. But any other day, it's there. And let's face it, he's going to come back and get it. He's going to probably do more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just so gutted for him that he didn't get it on the day that he got the platform to perform.
And it was very close. I mean, if you look at the right arm, which funnily enough is the cuff on, was almost locked out, and it was the left that looked shaky. But even on the 212, that left arm looked a little bit shaky. It didn't look like it wasn't strong enough to do it. It just looked a little off.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's going on there, but I think, Big Loz, almost in Michael Owen fashion of commentary, was saying that, you can't get any closer and not get the rep.
Yeah.
Which is both true and kind of amusing. It was almost locked out. I know Z was being, he was making him hold, and I think this is one thing I wanted to ask you about was your opinions on the reffing. I know I don't know about you, but if I was going for a record, I'm not sure I'd want the person whose record I was going for to be reffing.
Yeah, agreed on that. I wouldn't want that person doing it for a start. Also, I'd want them there. I wouldn't want to be relying on a stream with, let's face it, Scottish Wi-Fi probably isn't the greatest. And I think we realised that, like, on the second rep, like, we see Z's hand come down and then the log's still in the air. We're like, what are you on about? Like,
Yeah.
it's not locked out
Yeah.
yet. Wait, hands are down. But obviously, it was that delay that we didn't see. You're just like, come on. But yeah, like you say,
Yeah.
it should have been someone different. But at the same time, who's better qualified than Z? So
Yeah, so there's two sides of it, isn't there? Z is one of the best referees out there in terms of his not just his experience competing, but he's reffed a lot of comps now. He is strict, which is what you want for a record attempt. And maybe you're looking at, okay, what local refs have the same credentials? Maybe no one. So are they in a bit of a tough spot? I just think it's a bit weird having, it's Z's record. It stood for 15 years, and he's the one officiating over it. I don't know. It just seems a bit funny to me. But we got who we got at the end. But those holds may have made a difference as well. Like, he really had to hold the
yeah,
192 and 212. It was. I cannot imagine holding. I mean, obviously, can't imagine holding those weights overhead because that's fucking stupid.
yeah,
But even holding 90% of your log max overhead for 3 to 5 seconds, I don't want to do that. Fuck off.
no,
I don't want to do that.
no. I think probably the only reason that hold was there was because of how controversial that Aaron Page record was.
Yeah, I get that. That was almost the exact opposite
Yeah,
of
that was literally
Luke's situation.
up and then down, and like I don't get me wrong. I'm a big Aaron Page fan. I think it was a very impressive lift, but it wasn't a rep. Like, you can't.
Contentious, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think maybe it had a little bit to do with that. Who knows? But yeah, like you say, it is what it is. It's been and
Yeah.
gone, and he'll come back and he'll get it. So
Yeah. And one thing I did really like about watching was, I think, the quality of the whole thing was up a notch from the deadlift
definitely,
stream.
definitely,
All the kind of preamble beforehand where they were interviewing Luke, I think almost made it, in a weird way, worse to watch because you felt even more for him. Like, if you didn't already know and like Luke before this, there's no way you could watch that segment and not be heartbroken when he
yeah,
didn't get
definitely.
it.
I
You
think
know,
they rushed that as well. I think they
yeah,
definitely they shouldn't have gone into him that soon. I
oh yeah,
get the production value of it. You want to get that reaction there and then, but fucking give the guy a minute. Like,
afterwards, yeah, oh yeah,
give the guy a minute. He
yeah,
was fucking
totally.
heartbroken. We were heartbroken. And we don't want to see him heartbroken because of that fucking lift.
Yeah, Yeah, I get that. I
But
get
like you
that a
say, the
lot.
whole production of it was loads better this time. I think it was a great idea to have Mark involved with it, obviously being Scottish for a start, but just like, why would you not have had like the owner, founder of WUS doing the commentary the whole time? Like, why did we have to listen to that weirdo the first time? Like, have
All
Mark
comes
join
down
him.
to deals, doesn't it? All
Yeah,
comes down to deals. It was ESPN running the show
yeah, true, true.
that time, so you know
I also
it
like the
was
fact
it
we had
was
Callum as well from Cerberus. I think that was quite a nice touch because, correct me if I'm
yeah,
wrong, I think Luke was sponsored by Cerberus before SBD.
quite possibly, yeah.
It certainly was. So I think that was quite a nice touch as well.
Yeah, which I think you can see when he was using a Cerberus belt and also SPD sleeves. So
Yeah,
it's unusual for a sponsor to be okay with you using another sponsor stuff and wearing stuff together, but that's pretty cool.
yeah,
Um, I keep thinking about that lift.
yeah.
The first rep, it was it was unreal. I think he's got it. If we do end up having any comps this year, he's got it in the bag. I think the only downside is that it could potentially be taken away on the same day by someone else. Whereas if he'd got it this time around, he would have had that record. His name would have been stamped on that for at least a few months, which would have been, I think, so much more. It would have meant more to him.
Yeah, and it'd
You
been
know,
well deserved as well.
yeah,
But
he's put a lot of work in. You know, he's been training for a very long time. He's been around for a while. He's been competing for a long time and held back by working a full time job. And since you know coming on shore and working more kind of behind the desk, the difference in him is unreal. Like his professionalism. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that before going up for his attempts, he's just stood in the background burping and farting away. I don't know if you caught those
yeah,
moments.
fantastic.
You know, you're not gonna ever get away from the spicy Stoltman
No,
aura, but his professionalism in the last couple of years is leaps and bounds.
yeah,
It's come on so much, and that's rubbing off on Tom as well.
yeah,
You
definitely,
know, they're
definitely,
becoming solid little businessmen as well as fucking strong bastards.
exactly. And that leads us on nicely to the upcoming weekend. So
Mm.
we've got Tom Stoltman's 286 stone lift predictions.
He's got it in the bag,
Yeah,
100%. I, th- I kind of wish he was going for a smaller jump, just for his own financial gain in the future, because I don't see anybody catching up to him for a long time on the stones.
I don't see anyone
So he
catching
could,
up. To be fair,
well, you never know what freak is going to come about in a few years' time, but I just think he could have done a very. I'm trying to think of a few examples. Martins Lisis, Mark Felix with grip events.
mm,
He could have beaten his own record by a little bit, got some money for it, got a payday for it, and just done that year in year out for at least a few years,
mm,
and just kind of cement himself as like the owner of that record. Like that is his. We already know if he does the fucking thing that he is the king of stones, but I don't know. I think from a financial standpoint, a slightly smaller stone, but I know it's very awkward to try and get a pinpoint accurate stone, and you go into it planning how heavy it's going to be, and
yeah,
I just think he could have done 280, and or the previous record was what 273. They
yeah,
could have gone for somewhere between 275, 280, get that payday, and then just slide it up a little bit.
mhm.
Because where's it? I know what the answer is, but where does he go after 286? Well,
Well,
the
we
only
all
way
yeah,
is the only way is
yeah,
up to
300, yeah,
near 300. But just think there could have been a few more paychecks for him,
yeah. I think it's one of them though. I
the
think
smaller jumps.
yeah, I agree in that sense, but I think at the same time it's that expectation. Like
Mm.
Tom has all along said 300. He's probably been his own worst enemy in that sense that he said 300, 300, 300, 300. So that's probably why this jump has been made that it's 286 and then just jump to 300 as daft as it sounds is a smaller jump than if like you say
Hmm.
you're doing those little increments all the way up. So I think it's probably determined for him rather than him determining it. But you know,
Possibly, yeah. I mean, do we know the height that the stone will be loaded over? Is it the same as the record breakers
it is. It looks like
height?
this. It looks like the same implement.
Okay.
I don't know if they've recreated the same one or it is the same one, but it looks identical.
hmm hmm So, especially for Tom's height, that's not very high.
No, not at all.
So we saw with these 602 pounds, it was 273. That flew over first time. No, there was no fanning about. It was just up and over, done.
Yeah,
So it looked easy. So 286. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I would be putting money on that happening. First attempt, no fanning about. It'll go over easy.
agreed. I mean, there's three things certain in life: death, taxes, and Tom Stoltman getting a world record on the stone.
Yeah, yeah. Whether it's a stone run or a max weight,
You've got it.
yeah. I think there's only been a couple of times recently he's been beaten for speed on a stone run. I can't think of many times it's happened. I know it's happened a couple of times recently,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
9 times out of 10, if you've got a foot race with stones, he's done it.
yeah.
And max weight, there's no one anywhere near him.
Not even
It's
close.
just, yeah. All we need now is for him to improve in a couple of other areas, and he will be one of those guys who's hitting podium every comp.
Yeah,
He's unreal.
definitely, mate.
He is unreal.
Yeah, and the big thing with Luke's, even Luke gave us a prediction, said it might even be 2 reps. So, will we see that? That'll be very interesting to
Possibly.
see.
Yeah.
So, but we will look forward to it. And there is the bite-size episode done. How
So
is that?
weird it being so short.
I know. Tell me about it, mate. But I enjoy it, and I look forward to doing more. We
Yeah.
will obviously reconvene post Stone Lift, and if people don't know where to watch it, Core Sports, it's free to
It's
register.
free.
So
Yeah.
you're daft, and you get access to all of the feats of strength. Then, so get it done,
What's
folks.
uh, what's after the stone? What's after the stone? Can you remember?
Um, Part of me wants to say it's Rhiannon's.
It would surprise me if the both stone records aren't done.
Oh no, I'm wrong. It is Alexei Novikov's giant dumbbell,
So we can always do a prediction of the giant dumbbell
which
when
I'm
we do a
sure we
wrap up of the stones. Yeah.
will indeed.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Right, sir. Thank you for your time. As always, beautiful to
My
see you, mate.
pleasure.
And I will
Love
see you
to
soon.
see you. See you
Bye,
soon,
man.
mate. It's all right.